Our next speaker is Joe Wadlington from Twitter. You may have been able to tell by now that I'm really excited about Twitter. I just really like Twitter. I'm pretty sure I'm getting a tweet notification in my pocket right now. They told me not to put the phone in my pocket on stage, and here I am. Joe is an incredible speaker, a really engaging speaker. I know everyone will enjoy his talk. He has been a writer and a storyteller his entire life. He is the global creative lead at Twitter, and he hosts their business podcast, Character Count, which I think is a really cute name for a podcast. How many characters do we get on Twitter in a tweet? Please, someone yell it out. I heard 140. Come on, man. Get with it. It is 280 now. So you need this talk, sir. He's the host of a great podcast. His writing outside of that has also been published in amazing places, and it's laugh out loud funny at times. Places like The New Yorker, Vox, Food and Wine magazine. And Joe's going to talk to us about how to Twitter and how not to Twitter. Please welcome to the stage, Joe Wadlington.
Thank you. Good afternoon, y'all. Oh, come on, come on. Oh, stop. So I am extremely online. Y'all know that while you were away tile that pops up on Twitter with suggested tweets it thinks you will like? I've never seen it before. I'm always online, never away, never away. So because I've been doing that and I've been creating social content and consulting on social media for my entire career, I have a lot of takeaways on what I think makes something viral. So for this talk, I promise that in 30 minutes you will be able to walk away and you will be better at Twitter after this. You will have ideas, and if you don't, I will be at the after party and I'll have a few drinks and then we can play content calendar bingo and I will come up with Twitter ideas for your company. Why your marketing campaign will never go viral. I apologize for the negative title. It's not that I don't believe in each and every one of you personally. I was just told that negative titles get more people, and clearly it worked. And I think virality overall is a pretty toxic idea in a creation environment. If you are someone who has walked into your room of marketers and said, just make it go viral, you do not get to come to the after party. I'm sorry, you have to write handwritten thank you notes to all of those people. It's extremely unhelpful. And there's so many things about virality we cannot control. But I have realized a few fundamentals that I know can extend that lightning rod and make the lightning strike even more possible. And to do so, I'm going to first go back to the most classic viral idea I can think of. So it's 2013. It's the Super Bowl, New Orleans. One team is playing another team. Beyonce's the halftime show. All of the lights go out. 13 million people watch the lights fail in the stadium. So they take out their phones, right? Who remembers this? Yeah. This was a big moment in marketing when it felt like it clicked for a lot of people about what would help your brand to engage in a specific moment. And it was noticed very well. At this time, it was $3.5 million to buy a 30-second ad at the Super Bowl. And what were the advertising headlines the day after the Super Bowl? They're all about this tweet, not the millions of dollars spent on the ads. How Oreo culture jacked the Super Bowl. What is culture jacking? So there's this idea that Oreo won the Super Bowl with one tweet, right? That's all they did is one tweet. So I dug into it. And you will not be surprised to hear it was not just one tweet. They'd been working on it for years. In 2013, Oreo already had 60,000 followers. In fact, that same year, they were already doing huge brand partnerships. This is them doing a kind of uncomfortable Photoshop of an Xbox controller, and you can see the same kind of like manhole cover Oreo in the corner. They were clearly developing. And it was a partnership because Xbox replied right away with their Xbox controller falling into milk. The year before that, Oreo celebrated their 100-year anniversary. They did 100 days of content. Had to do Elvis. We're in Tennessee. And then I love, this is a anniversary of celebrating the Mars rover landing. It's so clever. And you can see the same design treatment. That was the year before the Super Bowl tweet. They'd been doing this over and over and refining it, and they finally hit lightning. So these are the fundamentals that I think can raise your own lightning rods, because you cannot go viral until you're good at the fundamentals. I'm gonna start with the hardest one, refine your voice. I love to teach by showing, and normally when I do this internally, I show a lot of bad examples, but I've been told that that is rude, and then those people will advertise on Twitter. So I'm not gonna drag anyone, I'm only showing good examples. So this is Pop-Tart's Twitter page. Their pinned tweet says, "Public service announcement. Pop-Tarts are not ravioli, Pop-Tarts are not sandwiches, there will never be a Tide Pod flavored Pop-Tart, have a nice day." 44,000 likes. Now here's Pop-Tart's Facebook. Oh, I cut it off a little bit, but it says, "The Pop-Tarts Facebook page is meant to be a fun environment for fans to discuss Pop-Tarts products and enjoy lighthearted discourse, and safety is our top priority." And it's actually true. If you look at their feed, they have a really robust feed where they unveil new flavors, they talk about different products, and it's very product-focused, announcement-focused page. Here is RGA, an agency that I really love. On their Facebook, we're proud to help Nike stand up for more girls in sports. Nike Game Growers now streaming today. So this is their most recent video campaign. But on Twitter, they have a tweet that says, "Test and learn in this economy." Very different voice, right? Moon Pie, a classic Twitter example. This is their Facebook. I was shocked. This is from last month. They're rolling out tailgate ideas. This football season, don't be the tailgate with the bad snacks. What I really love about this is there's a customer service instance in the replies. Jan Cook, "Love moon pies. You need to make micro mini ones in a resealable package. My grandsons are very messy, but they love moon pies." Moon Pie likes it and replies, "We will let the team know, Jan." Do y'all follow Moon Pie? Because this is what they're like on Twitter. Someone tweeted at them saying, apparently on their nutrition facts, the serving size is a third of a Moon Pie, which is bullshit. That's on them. And so someone called them out, and Moon Pie said, "Look, Brian, I just write the tweets." 155,000 likes. Like, Jan would not make it out here. Safe Auto reaching for clout. "Hey, Moon Pie, how come you never return my calls?" "Because you were car insurance." They're not even gonna. And then Twitter does it as well. We are on every platform, and we look different on every single platform, as everyone should. On our Facebook page, we're doing similar to RGA. This is our latest hero video campaign featuring Chance the Rapper. On our LinkedIn, I realized we're very human-focused in our pictures, which makes a lot of sense. Our Instagram is just screenshots of tweets. There's this ongoing brand joke that Instagram is just screenshots of tweets, so obviously our Twitter had to be that. And then on our Twitter, we have this side eyes emoji that is actually, they just did a side eyes emoji installation in headquarters, so they're really doubling down on this. So obviously, we don't want to come into a new environment with the voice that worked in another environment and kind of pull something where it sounds like you're doing this. Entirely incorrect use of yeet. But that's what you sound like if you go to the wrong place, right? And the interesting thing is that this is a really old idea. You would never have an ad that worked as a billboard and then put it in a newspaper. You would never have a commercial that would do great on TV, take the audio and put it on the radio. Because those are totally different things. So this is an old idea. It's just a new application that social media is now mature enough that every single platform has diverged. And some platforms will be better for your business than others, but there's benefits for being on all of them, especially Twitter. So when I say change your voice for Twitter, what am I actually talking about? Which part of your marketing strategy goes there? These are the three that I think are the strongest: connect, launch, play. So you go to Twitter with the piece of your brand when you want to connect, when you want to launch, when you want to play. What does that mean? For connect, conversational stuff. You want feedback from your followers. You want to ask them a question and genuinely know what they think. In the moment stuff, so connecting to a hashtag, a moment, something that is happening right away, that if you put it on another platform, you're going to miss it completely. Timely stuff, seasonality. Launch, anything that's new. The number one reason that people go to Twitter is to discover something new. It is your early adapter audience. People will love your stuff just because it's brand new, even if it's not that great. Break your own news. People go to Twitter to control their own news because if something happens about your company, you know the paper, the journalists are going to go to your Twitter first and see what you said. To tease product launch out, and then to play. Sassy, irreverent, human. And a lot of people see the examples of like MoonPie and Wendy's being super sassy, and then that can be intimidating to them. Because for most brands, especially if you're B2B, that's just not acceptable for your brand to have that type of voice. So what I remind people is sassiness is just one destination, but it's the most human tone, the most human version of their brand voice. And every company can do that. So it doesn't mean that you need to be mean or irreverent on your Twitter. It just means that whatever the most human version of your brand voice is will work best on Twitter. Does that make sense? Number 2, learn from the good tweets. I love good tweets. They keep me going. Did y'all know that KFC is moving into gaming? They're like a gaming company now. So KFC launched a game on Steam, which is like a cloud gaming platform. It's a dating simulator. You get to date Colonel Sanders. Everyone's dream. And what's interesting is these are all from KFC's account this week. They're all retweets. This isn't original content. One thing that a lot of people get intimidated by with Twitter is they have to keep creating things, and retweeting is incredible. These are all partnerships. Why is KFC retweeting PC Gamer? Because KFC's breaking into gaming. They're retweeting WWE because they're having live streamers play their Date Colonel Sanders game. And yesterday, KFC rolled out the Colonel Sanders Funko Pop designed Pez dispenser. So they're a toy company now. So KFC is using their account to jump into all these extra places. My thought here is they're probably trying, ubiquitous with gaming and especially live streaming is, of course, snacks and parties and that type of thing. They're trying to get in there. And my guess is they'll probably pivot to more football-focused content in a week or two. But the interesting thing about KFC being able to jump into so many conversations and find these people who are talking about them to retweet is if you look at KFC's account, they only follow 11 people. Do you know who those 11 people are? Well, KFC, their original recipe, 11 herbs and spices, right? So the 11 people that they follow are the 5 Spice Girls and 6 people named Herb. Brilliant, brilliant. And you see on so many people's bios, they use their valuable characters there to say, retweets are not endorsements. Of course retweets are endorsements. That's why you're retweeting something. So I understand when people may not want to publicly follow their competitors. But if you're going to be good at Twitter, if you're going to find the ways that people are talking about you, then you have to have a funnel for the good tweets and the conversation, and you can do all of that in private. This is what my team does. So I was served this MailChimp ad this week, and I loved it because it's low-key a tutorial, so they're showing you how a Twitter ad could plug into their email server. And my team's thinking about how we can do like video tutorials lately, so we're really interested in that idea and how to make it more snappy. So I immediately DM'd it to my boss and our community manager, and my boss responded, oh, I saw this ad from them too. They're running a super solid video. She was served a completely different ad. And then our community manager weighed in, and she was served a completely different ad. So we're all being targeted by MailChimp for 3 completely different campaigns the same day. If we hadn't shared this and we walked into the conference room together and said, oh, I really like what MailChimp is doing, we'd be talking about 3 completely different things. I promised I wasn't going to do choreo. No, I'll retape it. Okay, is that good? Yeah, okay. We'd be talking about 3 completely different things. And it's a really wonderful thing, one, to be able to put, oh, I'm just scrolling through Twitter, professional development, on your calendar. But then also to bring these things into the office and then actively discuss them with your colleagues and come up with new ideas. And we've found that generally when it doesn't feel like a fit at all, such as KFC launching a dating app for Colonel Sanders, is when you can get your best brand ideas. Additionally, my team runs Twitter Business. We're Twitter. Obviously, whoever we follow is a big deal. We have all these different things that we have to go through if we follow someone, because that is really an endorsement. So we're not following that many people proportionately, but we keep our eye on it. Here's our TweetDeck. TweetDeck is a Twitter partner, so anything you do with them, it always plugs in immediately, but there are tons of other ways that you can watch it as well, so whatever works with you, great. These are pretty basic columns, and this could wrap around the room. Based on what our community manager is watching. But we're watching Twitter business mentions, Twitter business notifications. This third column is searching for Twitter and ads or Twitter advertising. We have one for our podcast. Every single thing, we're watching these things go by. And that's how you find the inspirational stuff. Similar to how reading makes you a better writer, looking at these tweets is going to make you better at that type of thing as well, so that you're not trying to tell teens to yeet and buckle up. Stay ready. So this is just a checklist, because I have seen so many times where a cultural event happens. Let's say that you are a paper towel company, and the day comes when paper towel Twitter is just going off, and everyone's talking about paper towels. I know that seems ridiculous, but that type of thing absolutely happens. Because we had towel Twitter go wild like a few months ago. You want to engage with this thing that is happening in real time. You come up with a great idea. You call a fire drill, bring your team together. You come up with new ideas, get the designer, pay someone overtime, get this thing going. And then you realize that the CMO cares a lot about what goes on the Twitter account, and they're in a different time zone, and you can't tweet it. So you send it out 3 days late, and the opportunity has already passed by. Gatekeeper sign-off is really important. And I've realized that working with different organizations, because the social team is on a different team in every company. Sometimes they report to the comms director. Sometimes they're in graphic design, customer service, marketing. It makes sense in each iteration, but you need to know who really cares about your Twitter account and what goes out publicly, and who needs to get sign-off, so that you have it in advance, or you know there's only one person you have to get approval from, so you can move quickly. Brand training. So I train every single person on our team in an hour-long session about our brand and graphic design when they join. And if there's someone who may create content or post content, they get 2 or 3 hours as well. And it's an ongoing thing. I think it's really important. And the reason to do that is not only so that you have more savvy marketers, you're educating your teammates, but also you have all these watching eyes to see when something is off-brand, and then you can trust someone when they say, oh no, I know you're going to be out of the office, but I can tweet that event. You know in your head like, oh, they have the basic brand training. It needs to be a baton that you can pass, and brand training is public. People should be able to look at your stuff and know things about your brand, so it shouldn't be squandered to just one person. Campaign priorities. You may have noticed a few slides before, my two of the 3 things I said are really wonderful on Twitter are launch and connect. And that's certainly true, but those are also 2 huge buzzwords at Twitter. If I'm in public and I do not say the words launch or connect, I will be locked out of my apartment when I get home. And it's really important to know what the campaign priorities for your company at that time are. Whether it's a year-long thing, whether it's a tagline, what is the stuff that you always want to get it back to? Because I've seen tons of times when, like with the podcast that I've run, I've had to go back into the studio and re-record an episode just because we didn't say the right 3 words. And you need those to move forward. So knowing those going in, and then that way the person who has the phone can just add them to the copy in the moment. What not to do? This should be a really firm box, and ideally a short list. Think of a holiday party. Okay, you've given a phone to a comms person. You want to humanize your company, show some behind-the-scenes stuff. So you tell the comms person to live tweet the holiday party. Giving them an easy directive like, I would like 1 group photo, 1 picture of people dancing, 1 picture of the spread, all things to do, and then do not take any pictures of someone holding a drink or being very, very sweaty. So easy. And then when they know that ahead of time, these are the things where you're not creating something and then having to take it down immediately after. So while what not to do lists for companies often seem really obvious, it is something that needs to be shared. For instance, with Twitter, we have emojis we're not allowed to use because we're so plugged into the global conversation. There are a lot of emojis that mean very different things in different culturals and different subgroups. So we have an approved emojis list. And if we use something that isn't on the approved emojis list, we have to take the tweet down, even if it's not offensive in any other way. So you want the list of what things to avoid. And then the last thing, which is kind of a divergence from the other four, central login credentials. Save our ad ops team so much time. Don't do the thing where your company started a Twitter account 5 years ago. You advertised for one day, didn't like it. That's no hard feelings. You stopped advertising, and then you decide a little later that you want to start it up again. And the account was made under the email address, I'm seeing some nodding heads, email address of the marketing person from 5 years ago. They left the company, their email was deleted that day. You have to completely restart your Twitter account. So use in login credential software, which your company should ideally already have, or some people even do dummy email addresses is only for that, or have it be the CMO's email, giving other people the keychain as well. But centralize it, don't let it be just one person, especially if they tweet a lot of pictures of sweaty coworkers. Surprise your followers. So I've touched on this a little bit already because with KFC, obviously they're moving into a place we did not expect them to be, and therefore away from their competition. Popeye's Twitter is going really well right now. Fried chicken sandwich Twitter is very exciting, and they're moving completely away from that. Another example with Oreo, moving into the Mars landing, moving into a Super Bowl ad, where obviously Super Bowl and snacking kind of goes together, but wouldn't we expect Doritos to have the viral tweet during the Super Bowl a little bit more? So whenever you move, classically this would be called a blue ocean strategy, but moving to a place where your followers are surprised to see you can be really helpful to get away from your competition instead of just trying to beat them by inches and inches every single day.
The quality exceeds all expectations.
Do y'all know what they're referencing? Yeah, so in the spring, the is it Fry or Fire? I always get it wrong. Fire Festival. It was not Fire. The Fire Festival, there were two different documentaries, right? One on Netflix and one on Hulu. And a lot of people were racing to watch both of them. There was a lot of drama over which one was better, and one had been paid off, and it was really exciting. On top of the fact that there was already a huge scam, and right now we all love scams. If anyone has is in the middle of a big scam, please let me know. But the interesting thing about Hulu and Netflix is, as powerful as a platform as those things are, where do you go to talk about them, right? There's no comment field on either one, and they're certainly not overlapping. So the Fire Festival conversation was on Twitter, and people were going crazy talking about which one was better, which one they liked, which one was more realistic. Shutterstock we've all heard of, but because of stock photography, I had no idea they did video. And as video in other places, especially Twitter, is becoming increasingly more relevant, you would love to have some stock video. So this idea of video and lying made Shutterstock kind of raise their hand and think, I think this is actually about us. So they shot this ad using only video that is available on their website. They created this blog post. Fire Festival learns to influence your next viral video. Lessons. They want a Webby for this campaign. So they're going to a place where people are having conversations about film, about scams, about pop culture, and it's a very digital and plugged-in audience, and none of their competition was doing the same thing. So they got to run away with it. Lastly, I'm going to talk about experimenting. I think this is really important to both find something new and also to hate your jobs a little less. I don't know if you all have noticed, but we spend a lot of time at work. And so something that my team started doing a few years ago is we have one experimental project at minimum every single quarter. Something that we can't measure, or we don't try to measure it. There are too many good marketing ideas that have been killed because someone put it forward and someone else said, how can we measure it? Or has another company ever done this before? And so then you don't. And I understand where that may be coming from if you're talking about tentpole pieces of content or something that a business may genuinely be depending on. But the fact is, if you create the same thing over and over, you're never going to get of your competitors. You're never going to have the new idea, get the attention, get the virality. And your employees are bored. It's boring to do that thing over and over. And the excitement of letting someone run away with a passion project simply because they want to do it and it might work is worth the risk. I can tell several stories of experimental content at Twitter. The worst of them turned out fine, medium. We have yet to have a flop. But some of our good ones have been really stellar and have led to new things completely. The one I want to talk about is the podcast that we launched last year. So we were trying to think of places that we weren't already. An example of the years before that is the playbooks that are available in the lounge right there. We were like, what about a hard copy thing that people can actually take with them? So we noticed if you looked at Twitter on podcasts, there was not really anything. This one is, I think, 3 years old. They have the old logo. We pop up on a few social media influencers podcasts where they'll have like one episode of Twitter, but they were all pretty dated. There's no lively conversation. And better than that, we realized none of our competitors had shows either. So we could go there, pardon me, and like really own the space. So we liked that idea. We pulled up a podcast production company who's been incredible to work with if anyone needs a recommendation. We found out the budget for doing this would be less than doing a video campaign, which is incredible. So money wasn't even a problem. And 8 months later, we finally rolled out our podcast, Character Count. We weren't worried about measuring it. We were going to measure it to know how successful it was for if we wanted to do a second season, but we weren't worried about it being a flop. We were excited about being somewhere totally new. We were excited about having something interesting to talk about. And at the very least, all of our high-quality audio that we're taking could be cut down into video tweets and used for years. It was successful. We ended up getting an average of 5,000 downloads an episode with really minimal advertising. No one really knew about it. And those people stayed on for 20 to 30 minutes. For less than a video campaign, we got in the ears of 5,000 people every 2 weeks for 20 to 30 minutes. And the cutoff came from they always got through the main interview as well. So we're doing season 2. It's actually coming out. I decided yesterday, y'all are the first people to hear this. November 19th is when we think we're going to do it. We're going to have the NHL. We're going to have Dungeons and Dragons. We have an agency that only specializes in Broadway shows. And it's all about creativity within marketing. It's a really good commute podcast and to get more inspiration. But the funny thing is this came out in March. And like I said, when we were pursuing it, none of our competitors were doing anything similar. But by March, this is what the Apple Store looked like. Facebook's came out in December. LinkedIn's came out in February. We came out in March. MailChimp came out in April. While we were having our big idea, everyone else was too. If we hadn't pursued that experimental piece of content, experiment, just because we wanted to and we thought it could be interesting, we would be seeing these and then 1 year later maybe coming up with ours, or maybe not even attempting it because we were too late. What I think is even more valuable is if you listen to these 4 podcasts, they're completely different. We all made these in our own houses without any reaction to outside stimuli. So they all feel really authentic and they're completely different. These 4 podcasts, not even competitive with each other, which I was shocked to find out. And these are all not just Facebook business, LinkedIn business, Twitter business, so even more specific than that. You can't go viral unless you have the fundamentals down first. I think it's extremely important to first figure out how you can refine your voice so that you have a Twitter strategy. You don't want just a social strategy. You want a Twitter strategy. You don't want just a social strategy. You want a LinkedIn strategy. You should sound different every single place. And if it feels like you need to chop some of your advertising and leave it out of Twitter, that's okay. We don't want every single one of your ads. We just want the ones that are going to perform really well and help your business move forward. You got to learn from the good tweets. Stay on Twitter, stay logged in, and share them with your team, even if they're weird, and all you can do is DM it and say, what is this company doing? And while I did not do it today, I very much vouch sharing the bad ones too. They will make you stronger. Stay ready. You need to know who you have to get approval from before you tweet so that it doesn't have to be taken down. And you need to know who's going to get mad or who's going to get the most excited when you tweet so that you can send it their way. Surprise your followers. In other rooms, your competitors are currently coming up with a campaign to beat you out of something. So where can you go that they aren't there yet? It'll probably be more fun for you to be there, and you'll probably grab new customers that you did not even know could be in your base. And lastly, experiment. If for nothing else, it will be good civic service to make the marketing land more interesting. You'll appreciate your job more, and you may come up with your next Gold Rush idea. Before you can go viral, you have to get the fundamentals down, and I strongly believe that these are them. Thank you so much for your time.